Let's bring in ABC's Alex Perche in Washington and host and legal analyst for the Law and Crime Network, Terry Austin, for more on this. Alex, demonstrators on both sides gathered at the Supreme Court right after that ruling. A lot more people came out to the streets around the country over the weekend. So what are things like in D.C. this morning?
Well, Diane, it's a little quiet this morning. You saw that picture at the start of the show outside the Supreme Court where the crowds have kind of dissipated. But it was a very, very active weekend, punctuated by protests. And we saw even one of the main arteries between D.C. and Anacostia, the Frederick Douglass Bridge, a protester shutting that down by climbing one of the arches there. Also, he's down as of this morning. But also, there was a church, Catholic church in Fairfax County that was hit with graffiti and possible arson after this Roe versus Wade ruling. Investigators now looking into that and who may have been responsible for that attack. Again, overall, these protests were peaceful, but we have seen instances here in the DMV of violence and protests that have disrupted normal traffic flows and even shut bridges down.
Now, Terry, the White House says that it will challenge states that try to bar women from traveling across state lines to receive abortion services. How much legal power do states have to do that, and what can the White House do about it?
Well, one of the things that the White House can do, Diane, is to provide vouchers for travel for women who do want to go across state lines. And I think we will see Biden putting that into effect at some point. He is somewhat limited. Hopefully, Congress will do something. I think that's going to be difficult because we've seen in the past that even if the House has legislation, the Senate does not pass that. So I think we will need to see Biden do something as far as giving those states who are protecting abortion rights more federal aid and also providing those vouchers, as I mentioned, for women who need to go across state lines to obtain an abortion.
Now, Alex, 34 Democratic senators are now urging President Biden to, quote, take every step available to help women access abortions. How's the White House responding to that?
Well, the president's been pretty clear about this, that he believes that this is something that Congress should codify the rights given from that Roe versus Wade decision. And if Congress can't actually pass legislation that would codify that, that voters should then basically make their voices heard come this midterm. But we also knew that going into this decision, even when that draft opinion was leaked, that the Biden administration had been preparing for this possible reversal. And in that, they had been talking with attorneys and abortion rights advocates at possible things that the president could do, including maybe giving federal government building leases or public lands to abortion clinics, also possibly declaring a public health emergency and offering disaster relief money and health care grants in anticipation of an influx of patients. Something else that they have been considering is, as Terry had mentioned, giving federal travel vouchers to patients seeking abortions in other states. But this is still something that's being worked out. I think they're trying to figure out legally what they can accomplish from the executive branch. But this is certainly something that we've seen senators in those 34 senators push him to do.
Terry, in the states where abortion has been or will soon be banned or severely restricted, is it the patient that would be prosecuted for having an abortion or the person performing the abortion, or both?
Could be both, Diane. It depends on the state. I know in Kentucky for a fact, if an individual performs an abortion, that person will be convicted of a felony and could serve up to 10 to 20 years in prison. So it depends on how each state writes their laws. You could be penalized if you are the person receiving the abortion, and in most of those states that is the case, but also you could be penalized if you are the person providing it or if you are the facility who is providing it. So you have to go state by state, and you have to be very careful. And in fact, these states are moving very quickly. As we mentioned, there are these trigger states that have already put the bans in place. And so people will have to be very careful and make sure they know what the law is before they receive any sort of procedure at this point.
And Alex, what fallout do you expect to see throughout the week there in D.C. from this decision?
Well, Diane, I think we're going to continue to see protests, especially during the weekends and as summer progresses. A lot of people will be out on holiday and break. But I also think we're going to continue to see these legal challenges. I mean, even as of this decision, we have more than 80 elected prosecutors who say they won't enforce bans, including at least 12 from states with these so-called trigger bans. The fallout from that, I think, is going to continue in the weeks and months leading up to November.
So, Terry, legally, what options do abortion advocates, abortion providers, and so on in these states have now?
You know, from a legal perspective, what we have to do is look at this from every single angle. Alex already mentioned the voting, making sure you talk to your representatives. From a legal perspective, obviously, you can write a letter, protest in the streets. We have the right to protest here in the United States. Even if we have to deal with people trying to stop those protests, you have a legal right to do that. Obviously, we will make sure that people are looking at all of the particular actions they can do. You want Congress to pass a federal law. That would be the swiftest way to make the change across all of the states. And as we mentioned before, obviously, from an executive branch, we can hope that Biden can put some restrictions in place and give other states that are allowing abortions some privileges so that we can see some changes in the future. So I see it as a approach where you have to go it from every single angle.
All right, Alex Frichet, Terry Austin, thank you both.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.